Hey, I'm Danielle, a techie serial entrepreneur.
I'm Cicely, a health tech nurse.
I'm Priscilla, and I'm an award-winning creative.
Welcome to the More Than Graphics podcast, a virtual safe space for women and minorities in the tech and creative industry. Together, we're that tribe. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome. It's another grand episode of the More Than Graphics podcast. What's up? How y'all doing?
What's up?
Okay, so April showers is what we're going with for More Than Graphics as a theme for today. And boy, do we are bringing it, right? We're setting fire to the rain in a lot of areas. I couldn't help but not have an Adele moment like that. And I think we're going to get to some Rihanna later. So yeah, all the things.
Can you sing it?
Oh, yeah. Come on. We can set fire to the rain. Yeah. Let's go.
Potty, we can call it potty-oki.
I love it.
I'm down for it.
I love it. Okay, so in case you don't know, More Than Graphics is celebrating its 2025 nomination for the Women Podcasting Awards and its pre-qualification as a 2025 podcast for Digital Women Awards. Y'all, that's 2 countries. That's pretty cool. Digital Women's based in Birmingham in the UK, and then here for Women Podcasting Awards here in the States. So we're spreading some wings. Like I'm feeling extra magical right now.
High five, Danielle.
I know, right? So again, we're a multi-award nominated podcast ranked by Listen Score as a top 10% podcast from more than 3 million registered podcasts globally. Y'all, top 10. I love that. I love that because you guys made it so. So wherever you're listening in from today, let us know where you're listening from. If it's from YouTube, if it's from Facebook, if it's from LinkedIn, let us know where you're listening from today for this live episode. So again, we talked a little, right? We sang it even. We're going to set fire to the rain with April showers, right?
Let's play something on later and we can do some other.
Oh, man.
We haven't done a duet yet.
So true. Okay.
We got to fill it. We got to know somehow if she doesn't pop in.
I got to keep checking. Down. Oh, okay. Here we go.
Oh, here she is. Okay. Hey. That's okay. We could be a trio. We're doing potty-oki later. Just to let you know.
Did you hear this? Oh my goodness.
I heard it. I've been listening backstage while eating my cookies. So
oh, y'all, this is too funny. Okay, so for people who don't know who we are, obviously we've been giggling enough. I'm Danielle. I'm your techie retro pixel sorceress, a serial entrepreneur who advocates for women in the digital and entrepreneurial spaces.
And I'm Cicely, a cookie lover who is a registered nurse who really tries to fuse the intersection of innovation and technology and make that use those things to make it a better place for my patients and for their outcomes as well.
And I am Priscilla, a creative who mixes old school wisdom with modern inspiration and helps others find gratitude in a world full of screens and cookies.
I need a cookie. This is I'm kind of jealous.
Thanks, Cicely.
It's the Kroger brand. Like the sugar cookies, they're like my favorite thing in the world. The Kroger brand sugar cookies.
Okay, so mine's the peanut butter bites. Peanut butter chocolate bites. They're like oatmeal and oats and chocolate and peanut butter.
Yeah. I love them all.
Yeah.
I have no cookies are like children. I have no favorites.
That's the way to do it. Well played.
I'm not saying.
Well, our latest episode, Align, which we just did earlier this month, features podcast community royalty like Jennifer Hensel, founder of Women in Podcasting Network. She's a published author, and she's just all around like a femme badass, y'all. Like, she's amazing. So you can listen to her episode on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you listen to podcasts to hear the wealth of insights from our guests. So we encourage our viewers to comment, ask questions, and share their experiences that are in alignment with the things that we talk about. Are y'all ready to get into this host discussion or what? Like, for real, are we ready?
Me and Cookie are ready.
I'm always sweating.
All right, so our host discussion's all about sip or skip. We're gonna play games, y'all. We're playing games. Sip
We
or
do,
skip.
like, if you don't, you go.
So we're playing a quick round of sip or skip the statement. I'll present a statement connecting a current event to our world of design, creativity, tech, and women's healthcare. Each of you can tell us if you sip, right, or skip, and then explain very briefly why. Okay, you ready to play? Okay, cool. The visual and symbolic language surrounding a significant Pope's funeral offers a powerful case study in global communication design and the visual representation of collective grief, making it a topic for a more than graphics episode that we should explore. All right, so I get to decide if I get to sip or skip. I'm gonna sip. Mm. Okay, and I can tell why, right? Okay. So I'm all about the cultural significance of this period. Like I'm a little bit of a history buff when it comes to this type of topic, but it's so significant to see how the world reacts, right? To not only the passing of a very important and papal person, but also like how the world reacts to the way we interact with each other. What does that mean, not only for the papacy overall, but also kind of like what does that look like for us internally and how we treat and love each other before our time is up, right? Like that's kind of the things that I feel like we can explore more on the More Than Graphics podcast as we kind of talk about big events like this happening in the world. Okay, that was it. I was trying to keep it short. Priscilla, you next.
Okay, well, as a creative person who's always on top of all the sip. Okay, so I found this article, Reuters, and they did like a special report on the Pope Francis funeral, like pictures and stuff. And so they were showing the funeral through the eyes of Reuters photographers, and just to kind of like looking at it, and it just reminds me of how how I don't know what you would call it. Sorry, like how visual, like in branding or in anything like that, right? When we watch movies, how they kind of influence colors and stuff. And I just kind of I find it always interesting on how, visually speaking, like no matter where you are on the scale of what you think about it, if you were to see photos of what, like I'm looking at some of these and they have one where they've got all the members, they're all in their red, right? They got the red, and then I think those are like the pink caps and everything, and then in the middle, the gold, and it's just kind of a powerful, no matter where you are on the scale, when you see things visually, photography or whatever, how it still just moves you. And so, I like to I'm always usually the one that stays kind of in the middle. I'm a middle child, Switzerland and all that stuff. And so this kind of is just a way to, I think, if people are kind of like gone a little bit like me, right? And not totally with it all the time, you can still find, value in the stuff that's kind of going on. And I mean, I'm moved by it. And of course, I get more moved visually if I see something rather than normal, like people talking about it. I might just kind of put my ear to it, but it makes me want to know more about the story. So that's my take, Cicely.
Yes. So on this one, darlings, I think I will also sip. And I really just agree that even if whether you're religious or not, whether like this is your wheelhouse or not, that like the Pope, not even just for Catholics, but for anyone in the world, it does set the tone. Like whoever the Pope is, like whoever becomes in succession, comes next, for the role, that it's still like they have an influence in politics, they have an influence in, especially in the Catholic religion, like how congregations and groups of people kind of react to those things, or kind of react to world events or things that are going on. I didn't know much about this last Pope, except that he was more liberal leaning. So he had kind of changed the trajectory of the papacy over the last couple of decades because it had been very conservative up until that point. So he was much more liberal than his predecessors. But I definitely think that that kind of helped, especially in Catholicism or just maybe how we think about the world and religion in general. It kind of helped maybe a new wave of people see that. I would definitely agree with Priscilla about the visual representation. So again, as someone who's not Catholic, who's not really been raised in the Catholic faith, I know, enough about it. But I love, like, the one thing I've always loved about Catholic celebrations and, the Catholic Church in general, very grandiose and not even in a bad way, like in the best way. There's always these beautiful, like, you think about Catholic churches and cathedrals, you think about beauty, you think about grandeur, you think about, like, I guess I can't think of like a better word than that, but just you think of these beautiful things. Like, you think about religion, yes, but you think about beautiful things, just seeing the visual representation, stained glass. You think about the saints and all these wonderful things that we have the visual representation of. So I think it does kind of fit into, what we talk about in More Than Graphics from a creative standpoint, from a religious standpoint, from people who work in medicine who have to deal with some of the social issues that can come up as well in religion. I think it's very relevant. Everybody's on mute.
I just want to hear more.
Uh-huh.
I know that Danielle, also, let me say, Danielle, she's also is having some internet things. So
I'm here. Yep. Sorry. Yeah. I'm back. Enjoying.
It's the age of internet problems.
No, great conversation. No, but I was totally listening. I love the fact that you mentioned like the grandeur part, like for someone who is no longer a practicing Catholic, but someone who grew up in that culture. I totally relate to like the grandeur, the splendor, the process of some of that. There was a story that was rotating recently, even just about one of his closest friends who is a nun, and she got special permission to, as people were passing toward the end at his funeral, passing the body, and she was so close to him, she got special permission from the cardinals to actually be up there ahead of the time instead of being with the rest of the nuns who were saying goodbye to him. That she got to actually be up there and be up close, just so she can have a few moments to reflect, to pray over her friend. It's not just, again, a person, yes, a person, but like this is her friend. So I thought that was really cool that they highlighted that within the funeral. There's several touching moments here or there, for sure. But yeah, I completely relate. For someone who's outside of that scope, this is still a spectacle. This is still something that carries resonance for a lot of people throughout the world. And like you mentioned before, the dude's liberal. He's really, really thoughtful. He's the first Latino pope in a long, long time. I think almost a century, y'all. Like, for real. Like, it's been that long. So it's really cool that, again, having that kind of forefront in thought for the statement. Maybe a future MTG podcast episode, we could talk more about that. Not just about the Pope in general, but just kind of how we process grief and what that looks like, etc. I think that's all healthy topics to talk about. Okay, y'all ready for the next one? Okay. The allegations against Shannon Sharpe highlight the critical intersection of personal brand, both visual and narrative, and public perception in the digital age, a dynamic that More Than Graphics is well equipped to analyze. Okay, am I sipping or skipping? I'm going to skip. And I'll tell you why. One, because I don't really listen to Shay Shay as much as I used to anymore. So I don't even put him on like in my wheelhouse. But I do feel like what he is doing right now, what he has done to protect himself, his brand, and his show in a lot of areas, he's stepping back from ESPN because he just wants to focus, quote unquote, on this allegation that's been placed against him in this charge. But yeah, I don't really. Yeah, it's a no. Like, okay, bro. Next.
I too will skip. Well, because we're kind of in this era where the brand is your voice, and that's what Danielle and I, we used to talk a lot about brand, and so visuals are everything. And I just kind of feel like, yeah, where's that gonna go? Where's everything gonna go? I don't know what else to say. But this leads wonderfully into whatever Cicely has to discuss.
Well, I think it is very interesting that his nickname is Skip, but I'm also skipping. I'm joining in with my sisters here and skipping. But I will say that, like, I don't, everything that I've learned about Shannon Sharp has been against my will. It is because TikTok, the ticks of the talks, and Facebook. Like, I knew about his club Shay Shay, but I was only interested in that because of the guests he had on his podcast. Not particularly. I knew nothing about Shannon Sharp, to be honest. I know he's an ex NFL player. Again, only against my will. I don't even like watch football. It is not. I don't even care. I care about like the social things within football, like who's getting allegations, who's going to jail and prison. I care about the pop culture and the social part of football. I don't care about football in general. But just kind of talking about your personal brand and like media and how that kind of, we have a podcast. We can talk about those things. One of the things I will always say is I will never be a famous person. I don't even want to be famous because too much of your business is laid out, whether you want it to be or not. He had some sort of, and again, kind of going back to him, he had some sort of PR issue before on Instagram Live of an explicit nature. And like just after that, like I would have canceled myself. You wouldn't have found me ever again on social media. Like I would have just died socially and I just would have been a person in real life, because once you breach these kind of intimate moments of your life and you've shared those with the world on accident, just what are we doing at this point? I don't even want to be on ESPN. I don't need you to see my face ever again. I'm just going to disappear into oblivion because I'm secondhand and third hand embarrassed for him because of that incident. With this incident, whether the allegations are true or not, I have no idea. I just hope that the truth comes out and that justice is served for whoever is the injured party. But no, it's a pass for me. And yeah, you have a personal brand, but your personal brand and your personal life, especially in social media and in the world we live in today, they're one and the same. Like you almost cannot separate your media personality, bougie nurse babe, from Cicely. Like they're one and the same. And for me, count me out. Count me out. I'm done. Just stick a fork in me.
I was gonna say Shay Shay sounds like a great maybe like a salon name, or like even if you wanted to like veer off and like do like a car wash or something, like I feel like he could totally get by if he needed to like veer. Right? See what I'm saying? I feel like you could get by totally with that. That is on brand. Shay Shay car wash, Shay Shay salon, like brother, he got options. All right, next statement. Oh man, this is one of my favorites. I just saw this. A new film titled Sinners presents a potential opportunity to dissect its visual storytelling, cinematic design, and how its narrative themes resonate with our challenged societal norms, aligning with more than graphics exploration of visual culture. Oh, I'm so sipping. And I absolutely just recently got to watch this film. And I loved every second of it. And there's so many things that you can dissect from this film that apply to a lot of our societal thoughts and norms, and also connecting all of our folklore heritages in the same place. I will not spill the beans for everyone else who has not seen it because I know better. But I definitely encourage people to really look at this not just as a typical, atypical, scary Black film, actually directed by a Black director, because that doesn't happen very often either. Let's make note of that. Usually when Black people are using horror films, it's directed by someone much paler, and it's just not the case this time. So this is a very unique film to be produced in that way. Also, can we just shout out Ryan Coogler for the amount of work that he's doing on the back end? And let me just say that in a different light. The way that he is getting receipts from this film, it's not just congratulations. He is asking specifically for rights, creative rights. He's asking for long-term contracts. He is asking for all the things to keep Black art, not dilute it into other areas of American society. He's trying very hard to take his stories, his art, and monopolize it for people of color. And I am for that. I am so for that. So it may look weird on paper to a lot of people. It may look outlandish that what he's asking for, but it has merit. And that's the part that I feel like if we ever talk about it a little bit more on graphics, that's what we can really talk about. Okay, that was my sip. That was way longer than what I was supposed to talk. Sorry.
Okay. Well, my sip is like sip/sin. I haven't seen it because I don't see anything really. I mean, apparently I just don't nothing. But my quick creative take on it is these are some words I'm going to give. Like it gives rich molasses visuals, right? And also a Southern Gothic drip and a vintage. We know I like vintage glam with a bite. So that's the aesthetic that I get from it. And I mean, it just looks my eyes like easy on the eyes, I suppose. Some of these just looking at it creatively, of course, And so, but yeah, I mean, I'd love to be down for let's do another movie party. We haven't done one of those in a while.
Oh man, we haven't. We need to do that. That would be so great. If y'all want to see that happen, like put it in the comments, please, so we can make sure that something you guys can all hang out and do this. This would be great.
Yeah. So you sipping or skipping, Cicely?
Oh, I'm always. I haven't even seen the movie yet, but I've seen the movie from social media. I'm not a spoiler person. I still, I'm going to experience it. We're going tomorrow to see it. But I'm still the type of person that wants to experience it on my own terms, obviously. But like just from the previews I've seen, the hilarious reenactments on TikTok and Facebook. One of the things that I love, so I knew Ryan Coogler by name and like knew that he directed the Black Panther and Wakanda Forever movies. Like those are kind of how I knew of him, but I didn't know a lot about his background and about his life. And I found more of those things out through like Sinners and kind of looking at interviews because, I never pay attention to the press interviews and stuff like that, but they've been all over TikTok. So I've been able to see them, but definitely sipping for this one because I think especially with people of color, visual culture is so important. And another thing that like I see some people have missed from just synopses I've seen in the movie is the multi-layers within that. So for at least speaking from a Black perspective, whenever there's a symbol, like a symbol never means just one thing. It's always multi-layered. And some of those things, what I love about this movie in particular, and from what I've seen about it and about some cultural things, is that they are meant for the people of that culture. Like, great, if you understand it, that is amazing. That's awesome. But there are some things that you just cannot teach, right? Like as a woman, there are certain things that you just cannot teach. As a mother, there may be certain things that you just cannot teach. Like they're innate, they're inside of you. They're just things that And sometimes I think in the movie, from again, what I've seen, what I've heard about it, there's just an ancestral level of understanding that people cannot take away from you. They may try to take away from you. They have tried to take it away from various cultures over the centuries, but there are certain things that are innate. Like if you are from this culture, it speaks to you. You know these things. Like it doesn't have to be, what is it? I always forget the expression, what's understood doesn't have to be explained. It's one of those things. And I think that is such a beautiful thing. So there are things that we talk about, on the podcast as well, where culturally, visually, just you have to come from this perspective, or it's a shared experience from certain types of people, whether that be women, whether that be, straight women in particular, or queer women in particular, or, whatever the case may be. There's a certain shared experience that every group or most groups will have that it is just understood. And that's what I love about this movie. And from the things I've seen so far, which I'll be able to, quantify tomorrow after I see it. But there are certain things that like, as a Black person, I'm going to go into this movie and I will understand them and I will know right off the bat. And I might have to explain it to some other people, but I will know. Like my ancestors will have, they're going to dip into my spirit and let me know what it is, or I will have already known because it's something that is culturally important to me. So I think that it's definitely something we should talk about on the podcast, and just how visual representation has always been there. Like visual representation, music, the arts in general have always been something that's beautiful and rich that we can attribute to different cultures, whether that be Asian cultures, Pacific Islander, Black, Latinx, whatever the case may be. That music, film, dance, ancestral spirits, like other religions other than Christianity have always been like interwoven into like our DNA basically. So yes, a very resounding yes to that, Sib.
Ooh, I love it. Y'all, that was fire. I absolutely love this. I'm so excited for you to see that, Cicely, because I know it's going to be like, ah. Okay, next statement. Hypothetical unextinction of the dire wolf raises fascinating questions about biodesign, the visual reconstruction of extinct species, and the ethical implications of such scientific advancements. Topics that intersect a lot with what More Than Graphics has interest in regards to innovation and impact. That is a huge sip for me. Mm. And I'll tell you why. Because I do feel like we talk about that even with AI, like the implications, the ethical implications of duplicating, replicating, innovating in that way. And it can be a little bit scary, and it can be self-preserving, and it can be radical in that way. So here's where science is getting some of this right, right? If you're a huge Game of Thrones fans, which we all are, we understand how important and beautiful it is to see the dire wolf in its own diaspora, if you will. And to know that, like, literally, like, the second picture beyond just the picture of seeing the little pup is a picture of George R.R. right, holding the direwolf. Like, that was like the promotion of it all. It wasn't even about the direwolf coming out of whatever it came out of. It was literally George R.R. holding it up. The story lives, right, the lineage lives on, like that kind of feel. I thought it was really cool. That's my take on that. I think that's something to think about as far as like ethical implications of how we choose to use science and use AI in that way. Yeah, Priscilla.
Yeah, so I guess Skippy on this one because it's a little sciencey for me, and more in this house. Spooner, he's the more sciencey, so maybe if I could have pulled him in on this to answer for me for Phone a Friend, because really for wolves, I only really, if we were talking about Teen Wolf or maybe like Wolf Like Me, I'd be down for this conversation, but it is beyond my brain pay grade. So
it's like stem cell duplication. Like, literally, they took pieces, DNA structure of a direwolf, right? And they literally pulled it. I don't even know the complete structure of how they pulled it into a human animal, but blended it with some form of wolf to help backbone that structure of DNA. And it is a direwolf. Like, this was an extinct line. It was done. Like, there was no really way for it to come back. And this was what they chose to do with it. And so it's kind of like raising like deeper questions. What else can we bring back? Can we bring MJ back? Can we what else can we bring back?
Yeah. I just I just want to go watch Teen Wolf and all that stuff.
Teen Wolf is the best.
I don't know. I'm going to veer us into this conversation. Jason Bateman or Michael J. Fox. I like Bateman. Sorry. Cicely.
Yeah, sorry, I have my own dire wolf at home. She's an Australian Shepherd. But when I first saw that, it was one of those things like when I kind of heard about cloning, I was a little bit worried about. I am going to sip on this one now. So as someone who has had more of an interest now in like the intersection of innovation, ethics, and also medicine and how that can kind of help us as a species, as a people, I think those discussions and like the innovations are really important. Was a dire wolf necessary though? That's kind of where I draw the line because, I'd rather have a cure for HIV. I'd rather have, better and earlier detection tests or genome sequences for cancer or for, pediatric diseases that we can eradicate. I'd rather eradicate some diseases and take care of the population as a whole than come up with dire wolves. But that's me personally. It kind of reminds you of like the Jurassic Park thing. Like, are we really trying to compete, with dinosaurs? Because I'm not. I can't run that fast. I can't fly. Like, our friend T-Rex and Huffapaloofagus, whatever saurus that they come up with, it's one of those things where like, if you're going to be at the top of the food chain in your ecosystem, maybe you should stay there, right? That's where I'm at scientifically. But I think, it begs the question that we really should talk about like ethics in those things, just like with Chat GPT, with AI. It can be scary, I feel, if it's not used in the right way, but that's where the ethics part comes in, because who determines what's right, what's wrong, who allowed these people to make new dire wolves? That I don't know. Are there laws against that? I don't know. But I think it would be a really good it would be a good episode or something for us to discuss further, especially as AI is going to continue to transform and really change all of our fields, especially in medicine. For me, as you know, it's medicine, nursing, patient care. Those are the things that I deal with every day. But I'm really curious to see how ethics and AI and innovation and technology are all going to kind of integrate, and where we're going to be. You know, Skynet, where we're going to be in the next 20, 30, 40 years. It's very interesting to see.
Okay, for real, I'm like this close to buying a Skynet shirt, just so everybody knows. That was the truth when you said that. And then the other part of it, like you just said, like I just feel like this is such like a Men in Black moment. Like we're ready to like go into the other virtual room. You know, we thought everything was safe, and then the back elevator opens, and you walk into this whole like alien landscape of like this is what it's really like, right? Like there, I don't feel like we're at that point, but I mean we're really going down this kind of spiral, if you will. We don't know where it's gonna go, but you know, I'm open. I'm open. I just thought why we picked our rules, y'all. Like we could have done something else. Like that was so smart. Great job as always, Cicely. Thank you. The extra commentary, I love it. Hashtag fluffaluffagus. I guess that's what I want to say, because that dropped me. That gave me like I received that. That was hilarious. Okay, next statement. Last one. The Kentucky Derby, which it's rich visual traditions, branding, and cultural significance, because we're about to experience the Derby here. It's Derby week here in Kentucky. Offers a local lens through which More Than Graphics can examine event design, fashion as visual communication, and the creation of cultural identity. I'm gonna sip on this because I do feel like this is a huge part of why we do what we do. We're about creating spaces. And I think that's really important when we talk about minorities, especially in the spaces. A lot of times we don't talk enough about the minorities who paved the way so that we can have the things that we have. We talk about Isaac Murphy. We talk about, a lot of these Black jockeys, these Black Derby jockeys that created and pioneered so much for the sport that don't get anywhere near the recognition of what they deserve. But that's the case in a lot of areas with anything, right? We talk about technology, we talk about the creative space, we even talk about women's health. Like the pioneers that led all of these ways, unfortunately, are unknown minorities who helped pave that way. And so we always kind of want to pay some sort of, give some sort of recognition to the contribution that was led to something that can be on a much larger scale. So that's my sip for y'all.
Okay, my sip. Hold on a second. Okay, now this is actually a topic that I can kind of really sound like I know what I'm kind of talking about, because I was once a Kentuckian. I was once one, right? Because we lived down the street from Keeneland. Maybe Keeneland it was, yeah. And so I remember, I've gone to a couple of them, and I felt like, I was looking at it I didn't know what to expect when I went to there. But because I'm not even looking at the race. I paid attention to the race just for a second, but really it's just kind of like a huge overflow of the visual that you get all over the place, because this is where my fascination with the fascinators happened. And I feel as if you could just, I don't know. I've also never done Mardi Gras, but I kind of feel like, is this like the more upscale version, of that, right?
Yeah, that and Pride, like just combine it all, and there it is. Yeah,
really. No, but I find it to be really fascinating. Just seeing what as an outsider, because I'm not really from there, but I just kind of like almost passed through, but not really passed through for like how many years, right? But just seeing the just being in that place, it's like a whole vibe. it's so interesting and wild being in there, because it's like almost like I'm feeling like I'm at a fancy party that I really didn't get invited to, but I just kind of crashed the place, a little bit. But yeah, visually speaking, and on the creative place, it's like a Willy Wonka world. I love seeing, all the different more on the it's a great place to people watch if you're a people watcher, for sure. That's my sippies.
I think it's a good sippies. I'm sipping to this one as well. I think that was the last sip. But I would say, like, just kind of looking at representation, we've talked about this a few times, like in the tech space as well, that I feel a lot of times culturally things will always be like the workhorses of certain things are always, or not always, but are generally marginalized communities. And that unfortunately those same communities don't get to participate in the more visual representation, if that makes sense. So like obviously we know that a lot of tech companies are founded by, XYZ. There's always like the front people of these tech companies. But then in the back, there's the little people who also worked on the things, but those are typically the people who don't get the recognition. It reminds me of kind of like Hidden Figures. Like we know a lot about NASA, we know you learn all these things. I didn't even learn about those lovely, wonderful ladies when I was in school. It was like when I got into college that I learned about them, that I heard about the background work that happens. So I feel for me, like the Derby is like a very good parallel to that, where there were Irish jockeys, there were black jockeys, there have always been these people that work, who do like the grunt work, the heavy lifting, the hard work, taking care of the horses and training them. That's the hard work. Buying the horse, I can buy a horse if I had, a few million, or if I had a few 100,000. But the real work that it takes to make that horse a winner, the people who usually do that work, the training, the getting up in the morning, the feeding the horse, I forgot what you call it when you put the horseshoes on. There's a whole name for that, farrier, I think. Those people, those are really the backbone of the horse industry. And I feel like a lot of times with tech, just like with tech, that those people are not really seen. So when you go to Keeneland, you go to the Kentucky Derby, it's the population that visits, that's having the fun, that's getting live and getting drunk. They're not the ones that represent the people who actually did most of the work, if that makes sense. So I think the same thing happens in tech, where a lot of the background people, a lot of the people who are doing the heavy lifting for you to get this beautiful product, for us to have these beautiful things that we use and utilize and love and create on every day, we don't get to see the real faces behind that work. So I think there is a really good parallel to that with tech and kind of innovation and industries where women and people of color are not normally represented, even though we are there and doing the work, but we're in the background.
Yeah, so true. Oh my goodness, I love this. Okay, y'all, that really wraps up our sip or skip session. But we have to wrap up the evening, quote unquote. We are doing a roundtable discussion guide called "Under the Umbrella." This was brought up by Priscilla. Priscilla, thank you. This is a smart idea. So instead of skipping with the heavy news and stepping under the umbrella, literally and figuratively, inspired by Rihanna. Hey, Rihanna. We're talking about the personal showers in our lives, like the downpours, the spring refreshes, and even the parenting hacks that's keeping us dry. Thanks, Rihanna. Whether it's emotional growth, creative sprinkles, or just trying to focus, we're letting it rain with intention. So first question, what's been raining on you in a good or challenging way? So this could be showering emotionally, creatively, professionally, spiritually. Is it a drizzle or a downpour? Or is it something you invited or something you've had to adapt to? So for me, thinking about that, what's been raining on me is probably just being everywhere and anyone and everywhere all at once. I had a good dose of that. I literally, me and Michelle, yeah, man, we could like have coffee because this is call. We literally just had like this, series of events all this past week. I had multiple events for Kentucky Creatives. I had multiple show ups and deadlines for Octane. I had to be also in the moment as my son experienced a senior prom this weekend. I was hosting a live stream for a different client. So, I mean, there's a lot of hats to juggle. So I feel like the fire for me was having to be present, active, and activated, motivated in all of those spaces at one time. And even today, like I am on a live, but I have several other things that are, circling in the background. And so it's very interesting, like how I've been able to dance in that rain, regardless of like how hard it pours. So that's kind of one for me. Who's next?
Okay, I will go in the same order that we were going in earlier. Or however you are. So raining for me. So as you were talking, I was thinking about a whole bunch of different stuff, obviously. But visually, it got me thinking about how just how like the rain once it hits down and how that water, the puddle, and how everything all kind of that rains, how it all comes together in a puddle, because I like to talk in a bigger picture. But it seems like a lot of the places that I've been lately in so many different scenarios or whatever, everything seems like the downpour, the sprinkle, it's all landing, and I'm seeing how that big puddle is forming from all these different drops that are coming from all different places. They're in a big puddle, and this puddle is containing it all. And there's so many things that are just aligning for me in a wonderful way. I mean, and I'm even talking about like, and so weirdly that our one Align podcast that we did, from that story, there was just like so many, and I was like, yes. And, there's just, stories is a big thing for me, and I just know that there's so many different things that are related to stories, and like even clouds and everything. It's just the rain has been a wonderful, it's like I'm thinking of, what is it, Gaga and Grande's Rain on Me song, right? And it's just I've had a good, I'm done with the drought. The drought was not so great, but the rain is wonderful and refreshing, and kind of almost in a flash dance, kind of pull the thing down in a way. Totally sipping.
What about you, Cicely?
Priscilla, I love you for that. And I love how like we always have differing views, but they all just come together. So like Danielle, I feel like it's been like kind of a torrential downpour from what you've described. Just a lot of rain all at once, like almost to the point of drowning. Priscilla, in the same realm, you've had a whole bunch of rain, but it's been very abundant. So I think that's awesome. And then I'm like somewhere in between. Like it's been some showers here and there, but it's not been a bad thing. And I always, we've been joking about this for years now, how I'm like, I'm not going back to school ever again. Well, obviously I lied. We all knew that was a lie. And the lie detector determined that was a lie. But I've really just been thinking about, and that was the thing, I have had to decide, like, what am I going to do that makes the most sense? I'm not going to school arbitrarily. I'm not just going to school for the sake of going to school, because there's also a joke, circulating that Black women just love to get degrees. Like we collect degrees like Pokemon at this point. So, I forgot like the statistic on educated Black women, but like Black women make up I think almost the majority of bachelor's degree holder, and maybe advanced degrees as well, like master's, depending, like not like medicine and things like that, but just collectively. But that was my thing. I'm like, if I'm going to go for an advanced degree, I want to make sure that it's something that works, that makes sense for me, and that I'm not just wasting money and time, that it's something that I can really use, but it's also going to make whatever work I want to do better. So I have decided. I'm looking at a couple of different grad schools. So that's been kind of like a slow trickle. That's why I said it's been like a little bit of a shower, but not in a bad way. Like it's just been me trying to figure out how I'm going to weave that into my professional career, what I want to gain from that personally. So I'm very excited. And it's a non-nursing related degree, which I also love, because I also knew that was probably going to happen. I don't think that advanced nursing for me is going to be a thing. So I don't want to be like a provider. I don't want to be the person you come to see and get your medicine from and manage your care. I don't want to do that. I just don't. As much as I would love to do it, it's very emotionally, physically demanding. And just with babies, the age of the babies I have, it's just, I don't want to give that much of myself outside of my children and family and friends. So I think, or I've decided that like definitely focusing more on AI, machine learning, data, and really getting into like the what I love, like the nerdy stuff, like the stuff that I always thought I was not good at, that like, I didn't think I could be a STEM girly, but it's different now because I see that representation and I see that it's possible. And then I see the ways that doing, the STEM girly things can actually take me closer to the goals I want, and being able to help patients, people that look like me, and really just being able to help reproductive health and fertility overall. So I'm really excited about the not new career, but the decisions that I finally made in my career. And like I said, it's been a nice little shower here and there. And then it's really just basically enough to get the ground wet and get some growth going. So for the flowers to sprout, darling, that's where I'm at. So yes, very lovely.
I am grinning from ear to ear. I love every inch of this response. Thank you so much for saying that. It is, and you're right, that quote, that specific statistic, the National Center for Education Statistics says that the number of Black women earning bachelor's degrees has increased by 63% over the past 2 decades. We are listed as the most educated demographic in America, and it is incredibly important that we keep throwing that out there, because apparently people have forgotten. And so I think it's really interesting that you even mentioned that as a way to kind of advocate for yourself, but also going and using it as permission to go do other things. Like, I love that. And I laugh so hard at the Pokemon joke because we talk about that. Yes. Black women out here getting degrees as much as they getting Pokemon cards. So let's go. And I think this is also perfect timing because we talk about what's happening with deferred loans and whatnot, and how people are using a continued education as a way to defer those loans a little bit more. It ain't a bad thing. I ain't turning it down. So I definitely feel like this is a win-win situation for many of us who are pursuing education in that way. So yeah, like, heck yeah, I'm so for this. Okay, so the next one is a Rihanna moment. It's called Rihanna in Focus, correct? So, Priscilla, it's Rihanna in Focus. Rihanna recently went viral for using a banana filter to get her kids to pay attention. So what's your latest hack, win, or hilarious parenting, work, life, survival strategy? I ain't gonna lie, it's a scream. Like my 4-year-old, like, he has an obsession with cars. And it's really cool because he uses cars as a way to learn about new things because it's a car. And so, when I say cars, we're not talking about like the preschool la-di-da cars. My child likes to watch manual instructional videos on cars. And so it's very interesting to see him navigate the world in a very technical way. So currently little Theo loves to be able to watch the breakdown of one of the new Lexus models. And he's obsessed with Lexus because Gigi works at Lexus. And so it's one of those situations where he's connecting the things that he's passionate about and the things that he wants to learn about, but also fusing all that together in some sort of connection environment for him. So he loves that. He thrives in that area. I could not do that. That's not fun for me, but that's fun for him. So I try to like see wonder, awe through his eyes in that way. And I think that's just one way that I'm having a more Rihanna in Focus way, by encouraging him to learn in that way, by using technology, by allowing him to watch these instructional videos. A great hack for me with food, because he is a little texture sensitive, is also using oat milk oat milk to kind of break things up liquid wise. That's been he's very picky, right? So kids who have like sensitivities and things, like, I've been able to kind of wean back and forth. I feel like a little ninja, like I'm just gonna secretly put this in here and go. And that's kind of been helpful in some areas. Just getting more nutrients and just more different types of foods in his bodies when he's seeing things he doesn't want to eat things. So that's been a hack for me.
Okay, well, let's see. My hacks before don't work now. So I'd like to talk about a successful hack in the past. So when my kids used to get really, and I think you guys have seen the Facebook ones of these, is when baby Zozo, and actually when it was a baby Max too, when they used to get really upset, what I would do is I would try to get them to breathe, mindfulness and all this stuff. And think about this. She's now 12. So this is many years ago. I don't know how things did back in the early 2000s, right? And so, but when she would get really upset, I would tell her, let's take a deep breath. And she said she couldn't. So I'd put my hand in front of her mouth and I'd say, blow away your frustrations. So she'd like this. And I was like, you're not doing it right. So until she took a deep, then I would go like this and we go, watch it fly away, and so then after a while I started I got like a piece of paper and I'd show her to visually for her to see her breath, and then we'd fly away. So we did. I remember one time we're laying and she's freaking out, and getting very upset about something, crying, and eventually she did it. And then after a while, they start, and I'm like, I said, blow, not spit all over. I go, wow, all my hands are like, and then it made her laugh, and stuff. And then she would start doing that with her brother sometimes when he was younger and he'd get upset. She'd say, let's blow away your frustrations. And I'd say, well, they feel like they're still there, or even they would do that with me. And then I think one time she did that with my dad. They were in the playing in a little tent or something. And my dad was laughing so much. He said, I can't breathe. He's like, it was so funny. And she goes, just take a deep breath. And she put her hand around him and stuff. And it was really, really fun to do. I mean, and it was nice because that's my way with my kids. My hack is always trying to think of what is it that way that they can relate, to something, especially since it helps because I really am just visual to begin with, but kids, they are not developmentally ready in that way for you to say, hey, be mindful about what you're thinking, or just go to a different place, but to take it down to a level in which they can understand, that has been my hack. Nowadays, it's hard because now, half of the minis are taller than I am. So now I just try to do a different type of humor thing. But for them and me, it's like, I taught my kids really early on what sarcasm is. So we do a lot of humor for us. Tanya will say, I use humor for those emotions that I can't deal with it. But hey, it helps with parenting sometimes.
Heck yeah, it does.
That is my hack.
I love it. Priscilla the Wise. I like that. I really like that. And I'm gonna say also shout out to Augie Teo, who said that she also loved that blow away your frustrations. Thanks for listening today. And I am definitely wanting to make sure people know, just in case you're trying to get comments on here. I think we talked about someone saying that they couldn't get their comment up there. You have to accept our terms and conditions. I think that's listed somewhere at the bottom of the caption of this video, and then you'll be able to put your comment in there. So thank y'all for asking those questions. So for Cicely, a hack for you?
I'm not sure if it's really a hack, but just more of an evolution sort of thing that just kind of, again, just going with the flow. I think parenting this time, having a decade and a half in between, being an established parent and then becoming a new parent again, I'm just a lot more go with the flow. I'm not as things have to be like this and all the time. And, it's not about perfection. There are days the kids spend, all day in their pajamas, and that's fine too. They're cute pajamas and they're little sets. So, and it's fine. But I just with Liam, every day we were getting up, we were getting dressed. He's going to have this little outfit. I'd pick little outfits for him. And obviously we get dressed and we go places and things like that. But just, I see what people mean sometimes when they say that my little brothers and sisters, they got away with everything. They probably did, because your parents were very different people. They were probably more relaxed. They probably, didn't have the same, they had worries, but not the same worries or maybe the same stress and pressure as when, the older children were born. I think that makes a lot of sense. But now it's just a lot more go with the flow. It doesn't mean I'm just let my kids do whatever they want to do. No, there's still structure there, but it's me not putting as much pressure on myself. And it's a better way to live. Man, wish I'd known this sooner. It's a lot less stress. I think I told you guys, since pregnancy last year, it's just been, we're going with the flow. I am water, honey. I'm just going on down the river. I'm just flowing. That's it. I'm just waving in the wind. And it has been so much better for mental health and just, I think, for everyone. For the dog, for the family. It's been better for everybody.
I love this, and I think these are all practical approaches for different hacks and different stages and phases of life. So y'all are on fire for that. The last couple ones we got is, who or what's been your shelter lately? Who or what has provided comfort or cover during recent personal storms? Um, I think for me, it's been a couple different things. I think recently getting through all the events, the thing that kind of makes me like almost panic attack anxiety is not feeling rushed. And so when I'm home, I'm able to kind of like decompress. When I travel, the drive time between these places is very like calming and assuring to me that, I can do all the things that I feel like I can do. And then also having just strong community, having you ladies a part of my life, making sure there's some level of grounding for myself, being able to touch grass. I mean, just simple things like that, I feel like are all things that have given me personal and emotional shelter. Um, I am a huge TV buff, buff period. And so I love watching TV and kind of being able to have conversations with my husband and kids just around different scenarios based on what I watch. So we finished The Pit not several weeks ago on HBO Max. That was a great show. It was great talking about the different aspects of high pressure working, the healthcare system and how flawed it can be or is, period, and how it's working, for us in a lot of different areas. We finished a couple other different shows. The Last of Us, we just finished that first part of that on HBO as well. We're big fans of that. Shout out to Bella Ramsey, who did a great job. And of course to Joel. Oh my gosh, that character, we just love him so much. And so all these things are all kind of pulling different strings, but it's also grounding me in realizing the grand scheme of things that I have to do as a parent, as an educator, as a tech person, as a businesswoman. And so it's all been like very helpful to kind of rely a little bit on streaming and binging a little bit, but also just the breadth of movement, I think, has also been very helpful to me. Because a lot of times in my little fishbowl here, we can get a little stagnant and we kind of get stuck sometimes. And so these past couple days, especially this past week, Derby week for me has been like, nope, out. Like I have been up and out and on my feet. So yeah, that's my shelter, has been like movement for me, I think.
Oh, that's nice. See, I don't have so much movement, like physical movement.
Right. I'm about to fix that though too. I got a running pad. It's about to come in this week. I'm gonna unbox it and I will share it on the MTG socials. I got one. So
yeah.
I'm gonna try it out with my desk. It lifts up. So I'll put the running pad on and I'm gonna do some videos of me walking and talking.
I can't wait. I'm looking forward to that. I won't be joining you on that, but I will, like, spiritually, I will be. So my umbrella, I got a bad neck, my shoulder, I can't use that anymore, damn it. Okay, so my umbrella check. So historically, it's always been my people's, have always been, and they always will be and forever will be. But like Tanya and I, we talk a lot how I've been in therapy for years and stuff, and I think I've just been in a place where I am right now in my 50 plus. I'm in a whole new different place. Like my physical part, like I'm done with some surgeries. I'm, where I am just inside, emotionally, spiritually, whatever. I'm in a much better place than I have been, I would say, forever. So I feel as if I could say with this, to answer this would be, I've been my own shelter, and not in a, in a different sheltering way than, like not a hiding thing. And I've noticed that I've found, I think Tanya brought this up to me yesterday or the other day. She was saying how, all the work that I've been doing on myself, I've been able to share that, and I have more, like I was saying, wisdom, but like I have to share more. And so like the comfort that I'm finding is knowing that work that I've done for myself, that I can share that and sprinkle rain down stuff. But like I've been loving, like I'm doing the youth sewing and the healing, like we always talk about our childhood healing and things like that, and things that I've healed. I realize it's like, that's why all of this stuff, like I want to do with my business, and I'm all doing all this place, and I'm all the story intertwining that I'm talking about. I feel as if that is what the comfort and the shelter is, knowing that I've always felt like I know that there is, there's always a reason for the path that we're going to go on, and we may take a different turn, but we're going to end up exactly wherever we need to be. And I mean, I am truly a believer of that now, just because I'm thinking of back when, initially when you think about some, the limiting beliefs or anything like that, I'm like, whatever that was, I was always going to find, I'll take the long route, take a route, but I am routing. And it's like, I am not staying still in that puddle, right? It's like I'm moving, and I may not be on the walking thing like you're going to be on, but I am moving. And my comfort though is I can tell you, as I have always loved, like, being around like little kids, just because I'm like, we're about the same height. And I'm like the tallest kid of the group whenever I'm with like 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds. Once you start getting to 10, 12s, maybe they're leaving. Hey, but I am loving, the shelter of what I always knew like my skills were, what my strengths are, and they are still strengthening. And even though I'm not great, I'm not the best. I could say I am not the best sewer, but I always say, like, I am not about they can find out how to do that by somebody else. But what I am truly, it's like my big thing was that I feel like, the creativity and my imagination and my thoughts, it's like I'll always wanted, we have these things that we want to do as we're children and younger, where maybe we didn't get that support, or maybe we didn't get what we want here. And it's like, I want to be that person for, I don't care if your straight line looks like a dinosaur, whatever. It's like, if it's like, I want to just I want to give that confidence of embracing, like, not who, even like on a parent level, what our parents feel like that we should be, or their parents feel like should be. I want people to feel good about, confident or good about themselves, or, and it's like, it's taken me up until this 51, right? And I'm still learning it, but I'm like, that's such a long time to get to a place like that, when I'm like, I wish I've had people in my life, that have kind of supported that. But it's like, I want to be able to, I feel as if me being in the space that I am now, I can offer some things, and just like a permission slip, for people. It's fine. It's fine if you're wherever you're at. That's where you're at. Oh, goodness. Wait, where
that
are you
just
at?
came right out. I love it. Keep on flowing.
Umbrella.
The tissues are to the left. I love it. I love it.
Super Soul Sunday with Priscilla.
Yes. So
I love that. I think it's beautiful what you said. It really just seems to me like you are in a place of inner peace. Kind of reminds me of Kung Fu Panda, inner peace. You found your inner peace. And I think it is a beautiful thing, because you're so happy, you're lit from within when you talk about it. And just to me, you're like, I don't know what it is. I know what it is. You've literally, like, you're living in your purpose. You're doing the things that you're supposed to do. You're doing the things that make you happy. And I just think that's a beautiful thing. And like you said, there's no like real, like, oh, it's been good, because you are happy with yourself, and you know that you don't need the other things that maybe we've been searching for. Oh, Priscilla, you're gonna make me cry. Stop it right now. No, please. I mean, I don't want her to cry, but like, if you need to, but you're in such a beautiful space, and you've worked hard to get here. Like, let's not forget about that. It doesn't matter if it took you 2 years or 51 years, you're still where you're supposed to be, doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. But I feel what you mean. Like, we don't want our daughters to take 51 years, right? We don't want our sons to wake up and be 60 and be like, oh, that's what mom was talking about. We don't want that for our kids. We want them to, see the beauty, trust themselves, trust the process a lot sooner, so that they don't have to wait 35, 40, 51 years to get to that place. We want them to be in that place as soon as they can. But we also know that it's their own journey. And you've had a beautiful, tumultuous, crazy, there was the ups and downs in that journey, but where you are now is exactly where you're supposed to be. And I'm so happy for you. It makes me just so happy. I love it. And of course we made her cry, but that's okay. I teared up just a little bit. I'm not going to do it today. Not gonna do it, because the babies are turning 1 soon, and I'm gonna be just a bucket of tears that day. So just leave me alone. Like, let me save some. Let me preserve the waterworks for something else. It's gonna happen anyways. And one of them is doing something. Oh, he's knocking on the door. Okay, I was like, what is happening back there? But I think, again, it's just so beautiful when you're able to find yourself and to be at a place where you're just happy with who you are. Like, there's nothing that you need to change. There's nothing we'll see. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'm not nearly as evolved as our friend Priscilla, but I aspire to be there. No, I mean, girl, I aspire to be like you one day. I aspire to be there sooner rather than later. But for now, it's just taking moments of joy. So small things. Obviously, we know that when your kids are at different ages and stages, they have different needs. There's a lot of needs going on right now. So one of the things I've been struggling with, I'd say probably for the past year since they've been born, is just how do I find time to do the things that I love to do? Napping used to be one of those things. That's not really a possibility anymore, but we'll get back to that one day. But reading. So reading, I think I kind of talked about having a goal to read more this year. I'm on book number 7 now, audiobook number 7. That's the most I've been able to read in like 3 years. So that to me makes me happy. And when I read, my creativity, like my brain, the wheels start turning again, and it makes me feel good because not only, ma'am, what are you doing back there? Not only, sorry, if you hear the baby, I don't know what she's doing. She's trying to talk. But not only does it just make me happy, it just makes the wheels turn. It makes me remember what's possible. It makes all those things a reality. So for me, just having the chance, outside of family and friends and all the good stuff, just having a chance to do something that I actually enjoy, without the babies, because I enjoy being with them. But like, they don't care about me, about mom reading her books. They don't care about that, but I do. So that makes me happy, being able to read again. Well, he's not happy about it, but I am.
He said his piece right there. I love this. This is the beauty about this podcast. I feel like, and this is the reason why I feel like we are so meant to be in this space talking about the things that we're talking about, is because we can speak that truth into each other very openly, voluntarily, almost spiritually. And it is very much a connecting binder for many others who are in listening range of this episode. So I just think it's so important that we keep speaking those truths into each other, that we continue to keep vibing in that way, because it is such a journey. And not everybody's journey is going to be the same, but we can see each other in lineage of each other's journey and still acknowledge the beauty within. And so that's the part that makes this show so magical. And I'm very, very attracted to that. And raw us for all the things. I love it. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next question. I'm actually going to wrap it up on this one. So what are we preparing for? What's your personal weather report for May? I don't really know. Like, I feel like as long as I stay like barefoot and happy, and I don't know, like I don't even know what the forecast is joy. Okay, that's it. That's like the forecast is joy. For me, being able to experience all the things that I have experienced over this past month, the growth that I've gone through over this past year, just receiving community in different ways, in different shapes with you all, being able to share a lot of life moments with all of you. And just that's my forecast. My forecast is joy, whatever that formation looks like, whatever that cloud pattern is, no matter what that cold or warm front looks like, joy is my forecast. So that's kind of where I'm wanting to head.
Well, April showers brings May flowers. Is that what they say? Right. So, wise one, I'm going to say my forecast. Well, school is ending, right, in May. And then we're actually going on another party of 5 trip. We're going to Sedona. But the overall, I think, weather report calls for a bloom. And I mean, I've got a lot of cool things that I'm working on, and I'm just really excited about the different things. And I'm realizing, like, the bloom part, it's like, I don't have a green thumb, right? I don't. So, but like, I love looking at flowers. I think they're beautiful, and I love the colors and stuff. And I do see that I am putting together a bouquet. All of my stuff together is forming a wonderful wildflower bouquet. And it's just crazy. I found this thing. I was going through papers, and I found something that I sketched out years ago. And it's so funny that it aligns with kind of what I'm doing now. And it was so aligned to what I'm doing now. And this is from when I didn't realize it's from when my daughter was a baby, because it had to do with clothes. Like, so that's like almost 12 years ago that this thing happened. And I saw it, and it was so funny because the thought process of what I was thinking of is exactly what I'm doing now. So it was just kind of like full circle, like, you know, like Cicely, you always do your, you know, your vision board and everything like that. This was a long, like this was not even it was a vision page, and it got stuck in a pile, but it's so nice. And that's why I was kind of saying in the beginning how everything kind of comes together is because it just aligns. So it's always going to come back.
Gosh, you guys, you're becoming like me now. I love it. Oh my gosh, look, everyone's like me now. I love it. But no, I'm so happy to see that that right now we're all in a really good space. Same thing with me. Like, I love joy, bloom, like, ooh, the words. Celebration for me will be in the month of May. So celebrating, like you said, a lot of things coming to the end of the twins' first year of life. Just there'll be some movement going on in my professional life, in my education, you know, all the things. So just celebration, movement, and just looking forward. So all joy, bloom, all the things you said, all the things combined with a sprinkle of some celebration in there too. So yeah, looking forward to May.
Y'all, we did it. We got to the end of the episode. I'm so excited. Not excited because it's ending, but excited because we got to talk a lot about all the things that we really wanted to touch base on for the concept of this podcast, right? Being a safe place for women in tech or minorities in tech in the creative fields, being able to talk about touch points that are near and dear to us, but also including some of those current events, right, that stir us to think about deeper topics and deeper thoughts on how we process life and how we process community and how we search for others in our spaces, right? Like, I feel like this was such a healing episode in a lot of ways. Y'all kind of feel the same?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Priscilla's still crying, but it's happy tears. We love it. We love to see it.
I love it. All right, y'all. Oh, yeah. Anything else you guys want to add?
I don't think so.
No, this was a beautiful time. A time was had.
Love getting hanging out with you gals. My umbrella.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Ella. Hey. Yes. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in to our live episode of the More Than Graphics podcast. For exclusive bonus content, subscribe to our newsletter by visiting us at mtgthepodcast.com. And don't forget to connect with us on Instagram, our LinkedIn, our Facebook by following the hashtag MTGthepodcast. So until we meet again, we're reminding you that you're more than the work you produce, you're more than your name badge, and you are certainly more than graphics. We'll catch you next time. This tribe with a vibe needs you. Share MTG on social media, on your lunch break with peers, or send an episode to your techie bestie. This podcast is produced by Octane Design Studios. Catch you next time.